What if I told you there are 5 words that can literally recode your vibration words so powerful they can shift the frequency of your thoughts, rewrite your energy, and bend reality around you? Not affirmations, not mantras, codes. Each one carries a vibration that ancient mystics whispered about, but science is only now beginning to understand. And here's the warning: once you use them, you can't go back. Because these words don't just change how you feel, they change what you attract. They start aligning people, events, and synchronicities with frightening precision. It's like reality itself starts to listen. You'll see numbers repeating, doors opening, timing that's too perfect to be coincidence. But the question is, are you ready for that kind of power? Because these 5 words will not just shift your energy, they will reveal who you really are. Let's begin. What if the most potent form of technology was not built from metal or circuits but shaped by sound? From the moment we're born, words sculpt our world. Every belief you hold, every boundary you think is real, was installed through language. You were given a vocabulary, and that vocabulary became your cage. But before that cage existed, long before speech became ordinary, the ancients knew that language was more than communication. It was vibration. It was creation. In temples carved from stone and shrines hidden beneath desert sands, initiates whispered sounds that could move matter. Their words weren't chosen for grammar, they were chosen for frequency. They understood that every sound carries a pattern, and that pattern ripples through the invisible field connecting all things. To them, language wasn't symbolic. It was energetic architecture. Then something changed. Society grew louder, and meaning grew thinner. Words became tools of persuasion, not transformation. The original codes, the tonal blueprints of alignment, were buried under noise. And humanity forgot that speech itself was a bridge between thought and form. But not everyone forgot. Fragments of this knowledge survived in chants, mantras, prayers, and songs. Modern linguistics calls them phonemes. Mystics call them keys. Each one opens a specific frequency in consciousness. And when arranged in the right sequence, they can shift the entire resonance of your being. 5 of those words survived intact, hidden in plain sight, common enough that no one suspects their power, yet ancient enough to still hold the original charge. Before we reveal them, you need to understand why they work, because words alone don't hold power. Intention does. Words are vehicles, but energy is the driver. When you speak, your voice carries electromagnetic waves that interact with the field around you. Modern physics calls this coherence. When your internal frequency and external expression match, the universe responds as if following an invisible command. Ancient adepts called it alignment. Both mean the same thing: your vibration becomes a broadcast. Think about this. Every time you say "I can't," your body collapses slightly. Muscles lose tension. Your electromagnetic field weakens. But when you say "I can," the opposite happens. Your heart rate steadies, your breath deepens, your field expands. Those are measurable shifts. You are literally rewriting your vibration with every sentence you speak. Yet almost no one is conscious of this. From childhood, we're taught to use words casually, to fill silence rather than shape reality. Advertising hijacks our vocabulary. Fear dominates our self-talk. The result is static, chaotic frequencies that cancel one another out. Most people's inner dialogue is like an orchestra tuning up. Loud, dissonant, unfocused. And the universe, ever responsive, mirrors that noise back as confusion, delay, and struggle. The ancients warned of this. They said the misuse of language would one day fracture collective consciousness. Look around. We live in that fracture now. Opinions scream louder than truth. Noise overwhelms meaning. And beneath it all, humanity vibrates out of tune with its own potential. But what if you could retune yourself? What if 5 simple words could bring your energy back into coherence, realign you with the frequency of creation itself? These words are not secret in the literal sense. You've spoken them many times. But without awareness, they're just sounds. Spoken with awareness, they become commands to the field. Each word corresponds to a layer of vibration. identity, focus, flow, trust, and expansion. Together, they form a code that rewrites the signal you send to reality. Before we explore them, pause for a moment. Notice the words you use most often in your mind. Are they charged with fear, limitation, and doubt? Or with clarity, gratitude, and power? This awareness is the first threshold, because you cannot recode your vibration while speaking in the language of limitation. There's a reason the ancients began every practice with silence. Silence resets the frequency. It wipes the slate so that when you speak, your words carry intention rather than residue. In that quiet, energy begins to organize itself around your next command. And when you finally speak consciously, slowly, with awareness, your voice becomes a tuning fork for the universe. Some call this magic, others call it quantum resonance. It doesn't matter what name you give it, the effect is the same. Words backed by emotion alter probability. They collapse potential into form. Your sentences become spells not in the fantasy sense, but in the literal one. You spell reality into being. So, when you hear that there are 5 words capable of recoding your vibration, understand this: their power is not mystical by accident. It's structural. Each one aligns with a specific harmonic of human consciousness, a note in the song of creation itself. When spoken in sequence, they generate a coherent resonance that your field translates into new experience. But this knowledge is not without risk, because whatever you vibrate outward returns amplified. If you speak them from fear or greed, they will magnify that. If you speak them from clarity and love, they will magnify that instead. That's why they were hidden, not to keep you powerless, but to protect you from misusing power before you understood it. In the next section, we'll go deeper into the hidden mechanics: how sound interacts with energy, how emotion modulates frequency, and why these 5 words, when spoken with full awareness, begin to rewrite the electromagnetic signature you project into the quantum field. But before we continue, remember this truth: every word is a frequency, every sentence is a waveform, and every thought you speak out loud becomes an echo in the architecture of reality. To understand how words alter vibration, you first need to see them not as sounds, but as codes of attention. Every syllable you release carries a pattern of focus. Where attention goes, energy flows, and energy shapes form. This is not poetic, it is physics. When the ancients spoke of word becoming flesh, they were describing a natural process of resonance and manifestation. Think of sound rippling across water. The surface arranges itself into shapes called cymatic patterns, geometry born from vibration. Your voice does the same to the field of reality. It organizes possibilities into patterns that match your dominant tone. If your words are heavy with fear, the geometry becomes chaotic. If your words carry calm authority, the geometry becomes ordered, symmetrical, luminous. Every affirmation, complaint, or whisper leaves an imprint somewhere in that invisible architecture. Modern science glimpses this truth through studies of frequency and coherence. Heart rate variability, brainwave synchronization, and even molecular resonance show that coherent patterns produce harmony, while incoherent ones breed entropy. Language is the human bridge between these two states. Spoken from coherence, it restores order. Spoken from confusion, it multiplies disorder. That's why intention is everything. Pause and listen to how you speak when no one else is listening. The private monologue in your mind is the script that reality follows. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm tired, I'm unlucky, I'm stuck," those vibrations accumulate until they harden into circumstance. But when you begin replacing those phrases with words of expansion, your field loosens. Possibilities start reorganizing around the new signal. It may feel subtle at first, a small coincidence, a shift in timing, but beneath the surface, your vibration is being rewritten. This is where the 5 words begin to matter. They are not complicated, nor are they ancient syllables wrapped in mystery. They are simple English words that map directly onto the layers of consciousness you interact with every day. Each one is like a tuning fork that calls a specific aspect of your being into alignment. The first governs identity, who you declare yourself to be. The second shapes intention, what you focus your energy toward. The third unlocks flow, how freely energy moves through you. The fourth anchors trust, your relationship with the unseen order. The fifth expands connection, your union with the field itself. When used together, these 5 aspects form a complete circuit: self, purpose, motion, faith, and expansion. Speak them consciously, and you light the circuit. Speak them unconsciously, and the current short circuits. Why only 5? Because ancient numerology considered 5 the number of human creation. 5 fingers, 5 senses, 5 elements, 5 stages of transformation. It is the bridge between matter and spirit, the point where vibration becomes tangible. 5 is the signature of embodiment. Now consider how much of modern speech contradicts this wisdom. Our vocabulary is saturated with contraction words like don't, can't, shouldn't, impossible. They vibrate at the frequency of resistance. They tell the field to pause rather than flow. The more you repeat them, the more your energy becomes a closed loop. You start living in echo rather than creation. Reprogramming your vibration begins with changing this habitual language. Start by listening not just to what you say, but how it feels when you say it. Every word has a texture in the body. Some tighten the chest, others open it. Some dull the senses, others sharpen them. That physical feedback is your built-in compass. It tells you immediately whether a word is lowering or lifting your vibration. The forgotten secret of all manifestation traditions, Hermetic, Vedic, Taoist, indigenous, is that words were never meant to be mechanical affirmations. They were meant to be vibrational alignments. The power lies not in repeating a sentence, but in embodying its frequency. When you say, "I am ready," you must feel readiness humming in every cell. When you say, "I am open," you must breathe as if expansion has already arrived. Without embodiment, language is empty air. With embodiment, it becomes creative fire. This is why the ancients warned, speak only when your words are more powerful than your silence. Silence charges the voice. It concentrates vibration. When you emerge from silence to speak, the field listens. In modern life, we've reversed that rhythm. We speak constantly and listen rarely, so the universe receives static instead of signal. To reclaim the potency of your voice, you must first recover the discipline of quiet. In that quiet, you will begin to sense the hum beneath reality, the background resonance that everything arises from. Mystics called it the Om, the word, the breath of life. It is neutral, infinite potential waiting for instruction. The moment you utter a word, you carve a groove in that potential. The deeper the emotion behind it, the more solid the groove becomes. This is the mechanism through which speech becomes destiny. If you've ever noticed how certain phrases outlive generations, proverbs, blessings, curses, it's because collective emotion carved them deeply into the field. Each repetition reinforces the pattern until it becomes part of cultural DNA. The same principle applies individually. The phrases you repeat most often become your personal programming. So when you hear that 5 specific words can recode your vibration, understand that they are not substitutes for effort or shortcuts to magic. They are templates, pure frequencies that, when spoken with presence, reorder your habitual language. They overwrite noise with coherence. Before we move to the mechanics of how this process actually happens, the meeting point of neuroscience, acoustics, and consciousness, pause again. Feel the silence between your thoughts. That stillness is raw potential. Everything you will ever create starts there. In the silence that follows conscious speech, something extraordinary happens. Your awareness begins to notice the subtle resonance between inner sound and outer world, the way a phrase spoken in conviction seems to ripple outward, arranging chance itself. You'll start seeing evidence of your words reflected back. A message arrives at the right moment. A stranger repeats a sentence you just whispered to yourself. a door opens that logic said was closed. These are not coincidences. They're the echo of coherence. Coherence is what happens when the personal signal and the universal field synchronize. You have felt it before in music that gives you chills, in a conversation that flows effortlessly, in moments of creative focus when time disappears. In those states, your nervous system, heart rhythm, and breath fall into mathematical harmony. That harmony radiates outward and influences the probabilities that surround you. The field responds because it recognizes a familiar pattern, order. Disorder, on the other hand, confuses reality. Most people vibrate in static because their speech carries mixed signals, hope wrapped in doubt, gratitude tangled with resentment. The field cannot decode contradiction, so it mirrors uncertainty back as delay and chaos. Recoding your vibration begins with removing that contradiction. You must decide which frequencies you wish to amplify, and then let every word serve that decision. This is why the ancients treated language as ritual. They did not speak of transformation while gossiping or complaining. They prepared themselves through breath, posture, and silence until their whole body became the instrument of intention. Only then did they release sound. To them, a word was sacred because it was alive. You can reclaim that same sacredness now. Begin by noticing the life in each word before it leaves your mouth. Does it expand you or contract you? Does it feel electric or heavy? The body knows long before the intellect does. When a word vibrates in truth, your body relaxes. When it distorts, your muscles tense. Use that reaction as a compass. If your language feels like strain, it isn't aligned with your authentic frequency yet. There is a deeper reason for this sensitivity. Inside your chest sits the most powerful oscillator known to biology, the human heart. Every beat generates an electromagnetic field that extends far beyond the skin. When you speak, that field modulates the sound of your voice. Your emotions literally ride on the carrier wave of your words. The listener doesn't merely hear what you say. They feel the frequency encoded beneath it. This is why sincere words heal and insincere ones harm. The vibration, not the vocabulary, is what transmits truth. Think of great orators, healers, or poets. Their words linger not because of vocabulary, but because of resonance. Something in their tone entrains your nervous system. It pulls you into coherence with them. The same principle applies inwardly. When your own speech resonates with the truth of your being, you entrain yourself into higher order. You literally tune your biology to the signal of possibility. Here lies the quiet danger. Once you understand this mechanism, you can no longer speak carelessly. Every sentence becomes a seed. Anger spoken in awareness will manifest faster than anger spoken in ignorance. Power multiplies responsibility. That is why this teaching always carried a warning. Use with caution. Awareness amplifies results, both the light and the shadow. You are now entering the realm where thought and speech are not separate from outcome. Soon, you will meet the 5 words that recalibrate this entire process. Each one activates a layer of your energy architecture: self-identity, focus, flow, trust, and expansion. They are simple, almost ordinary, yet their combination restores the ancient circuit between the mind, heart, and field. Before revealing them, you must first cleanse the channel through which they will move your breath. Breath is the original wordless language. Every exhale carries a vibration even before sound forms. When breath is shallow, speech becomes fragmented. When breath is steady, speech gains authority. The ancients trained for years to merge breath with voice because they knew air is the bridge between spirit and matter. The word inspiration literally means to breathe spirit into. The deeper your breath, the more spirit animates your sound. Try this. Inhale slowly through the nose, feeling air expand the belly and chest. Hold for a moment until you sense stillness. Then exhale through the mouth, releasing tension. Do this 3 times before you speak any affirmation. You'll notice your voice vibrates differently, lower, steadier, more alive. That is the tone the universe recognizes. That is the frequency from which the 5 words gain their strength. When spoken from this state, language no longer feels like effort. It feels like remembering. You are not commanding the universe. You are harmonizing with it. The moment your vibration matches the pattern of what you desire, that desire stops being future and becomes now. The field simply mirrors your frequency, because that is all it can ever do. Here, at the end of the first section, pause again in silence. Feel the hum behind the world, the subtle current that carries you even when you're still. Everything you will learn next flows from that current. In the next section, we'll unveil how sound interacts with the quantum field, how emotion becomes the modulator of frequency, and why these 5 words, simple as they seem, hold the map back to coherence. Take one more breath. Hold it, and listen. The field is already responding. Let's step into the mechanics of creation. To move from mystery into mechanics, imagine that reality is not a solid wall, but a vibrating field of probabilities. Every atom in your body, every thought in your mind, every word on your tongue hums at a certain rate of oscillation. The ancients described this as the music of the spheres. Physicists call it quantum resonance. Both point to the same principle. Frequency determines form. When 2 vibrations meet, they do one of 2 things. They either interfere or entrain. Interference creates noise. Entrainment creates harmony. The universe is constantly listening to you, waiting to see which pattern you choose. When your thoughts, emotions, and language resonate in unison, the field entrains to your signal and reorganizes itself accordingly. This is not superstition, it's pattern recognition on a cosmic scale. Every word you speak sends out a waveform. The pitch of that wave is determined by emotion, the amplitude by belief. Fear produces jagged, irregular waves. Love produces smooth, coherent ones. Gratitude amplifies. Shame diminishes. The field reads these shapes like instructions, aligning circumstances to match the geometry of your signal. That's why gratitude attracts more to be grateful for, while resentment multiplies reasons to resent. The field is neutral. It simply mirrors. Neuroscience provides a doorway into this understanding. When you repeat a phrase, you strengthen neural pathways associated with it. The brain releases corresponding chemicals, dopamine for optimism, cortisol for stress. These chemicals alter the body's electromagnetic signature, which then influences the heart's rhythm and the brain's waves. Your biology becomes the loudspeaker of your psychology. The universe hears through the antenna of your body. Think of the 5 words we are approaching as frequency codes designed to resynchronize those systems. Each word targets a layer of your electromagnetic anatomy, the 5 concentric fields that surround the human form like nested halos. Ancient teachings referred to them as bodies of energy, the physical, emotional, mental, intuitive, and causal. Modern instruments detect their correlates as electric, magnetic, and photonic emissions. The first layer, the physical field, responds to rhythm. That's why chanting, drumming, or breathing in measured cadence steadies the body. The second, the emotional field, responds to tone. The third, the mental field, to meaning. The fourth, the intuitive field, reacts to imagery. And the fifth, the causal field, to pure intention. When a word carries rhythm, tone, meaning, image, and intention simultaneously, it strikes all 5 layers at once. The effect is instantaneous coherence, a full-body alignment. Modern experiments hint at this. In sound therapy labs, coherent frequencies cause water molecules to assemble into symmetrical patterns, while dissonant ones scatter them. Because your body is mostly water, the same principle applies internally. Speak coherently, and your cells arrange themselves toward order. Speak incoherently, and they lose rhythm. Health, focus, and mood are direct reflections of linguistic resonance. But even this mechanical explanation doesn't capture the wonder of it. Beneath frequency lies meaning, and meaning is the bridge between energy and awareness. 2 people can say the same word, freedom, for example, and vibrate entirely different frequencies, because one feels expansion while the other feels fear. The field doesn't respond to vocabulary. It responds to the felt meaning behind it. The vibration you emit is the sum of what you truly believe, not what you pretend to believe. That's why the upcoming 5 words must be spoken only after you feel their truth in your body. Otherwise, they remain inert symbols. The mechanics of frequency recode depend on authenticity. False notes cancel the signal. To grasp this more clearly, picture yourself as an instrument. The strings are your thoughts, the body of the instrument is your emotion, and the bow is your breath. When you draw the bow across the strings with steady intention, the instrument sings. If the strings are out of tune, the same motion produces discord. The 5 words act as tuning pegs, adjusting tension until each string vibrates in perfect ratio to the others. When that happens, you stop trying to manifest and start resonating with what already exists. The first word, whose meaning corresponds to identity, activates the bass note of the system. When you declare who you are, the field arranges itself around that declaration. I am has always been the original formula of creation. Every statement that follows it programs your frequency. I am tired. I am powerful. I am lost. I am light. The universe hears only the resonance of the predicate. This is why mastery of identity is the first step in vibrational recoding. Say I am consciously, and you ignite the foundation of coherence. The second word, linked to intention, directs that identity outward like a beam of focused energy. Once you know who you are, you must decide where your frequency will flow. Intention shapes the current. It tells the field what pattern to sculpt next. Without clear intention, energy diffuses. With it, energy crystallizes. That is why the ancients paired sacred names with specific purposes. Each sound aimed the current toward a particular manifestation. Before we explore the remaining layers, flow, trust, and expansion, there's one more mechanical secret to understand: resonance stacking. When several coherent frequencies overlap, their amplitudes combine, producing an effect far greater than the sum of its parts. Your thoughts, emotions, and words do the same. When they line up, the signal multiplies exponentially. That is why a single moment of full alignment can transform circumstances that years of effort could not touch. Energy organizes faster than action because it operates at the blueprint level of reality. So the art of frequency recode is not about forcing outcomes. It's about aligning all layers of vibration until the outcome becomes inevitable. You don't push reality, you invite it by resonance. Every practice, mantra, or affirmation throughout history was a way of teaching this alignment through repetition and feeling. Soon, we'll delve into the final 3 aspects of the code. How to maintain flow so energy doesn't stagnate, how to build trust so the field can operate without resistance, and how to open into expansion, the state where your personal frequency merges with universal consciousness. But before that, pause for a moment. Notice your breath again. Feel the rhythm in your heartbeat. That pulse is the metronome of creation, and it's already keeping time with the universe. If identity and intention are the foundation and focus of your vibration, flow is the current that carries it through the universe. Most people misunderstand flow. They think it means doing nothing, drifting, surrendering control. But true flow is not passive. It's precision in motion. It's the state where your energy moves without friction, guided by intuition rather than logic. Think of a river. When it moves in harmony with its terrain, it carves valleys, nourishes forests, creates ecosystems. But when it's dammed or diverted unnaturally, the water stagnates, pressure builds, and the flow eventually forces its way through. The same happens within you. Every time you resist what is, every time you fight against life's direction out of fear, you create an internal dam. Energy can't circulate, and your vibration becomes distorted. You begin to feel heavy, stuck, disconnected. Flow begins when you stop trying to control how things happen, and instead focus on why they're happening. The moment you align your intention with trust in timing, the current of reality carries you. You start seeing opportunities appearing effortlessly, conversations that open doors, ideas that arrive at the perfect moment, coincidences that no longer feel random. That's not luck. That's frequency alignment in motion. Ancient mystics called this Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. It doesn't mean inaction. It means movement without resistance. When you're in flow, you're not forcing outcomes. You're responding to energy. You move when the signal moves. You rest when it pauses. You speak when the current rises. You listen when it falls silent. And because you're no longer swimming against the current, synchronicities multiply. Life feels guided. Because it is. But to stay in flow, one quality is essential: trust. Trust is the bridge between intention and manifestation. It's what keeps the vibration coherent when logic can't see the path ahead. Without trust, your energy collapses back into doubt. And doubt is static. It scrambles the signal. You can set the clearest intention, but if fear contradicts it, the field receives interference. Trust is not blind faith. It's recognition of pattern. It's knowing that every event, pleasant or painful, is part of a larger architecture moving you toward coherence. When something doesn't go your way, trust reminds you that the universe is adjusting the path, not denying it. Every delay, every detour, every closed door is a recalibration of frequency. The field rearranges in ways your conscious mind can't yet perceive. Trust also transforms waiting into preparation. Instead of asking, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" you begin asking, "Who am I becoming as I wait?" This shift raises your frequency instantly because it moves you from scarcity to readiness. You stop vibrating at the level of need and start vibrating at the level of certainty. And the universe mirrors certainty with manifestation. That is the secret behind every overnight success. Trust sustained long enough for the energy to crystallize into form. But there's a deeper layer still: expansion. Expansion is what happens when your vibration becomes so coherent, so attuned, that it begins to influence the field beyond your personal energy. You stop being a receiver and become a transmitter. Your words, thoughts, and emotions ripple outward, affecting the people and spaces around you. You can feel it when someone enters a room and the atmosphere changes. That's vibrational expansion in action. At this level, the 5 words you're about to learn do more than realign your frequency. They reprogram your environment. Because vibration doesn't stop at the edge of your skin. Your electromagnetic field extends meters beyond your body, and when it's coherent, it begins to entrain other fields into harmony. You become a stabilizing frequency, a living tuning fork for others to resonate with. This is why you must use these words with caution. They amplify not just your desires, but your state of being. If you speak them from ego, they magnify control. If you speak them from fear, they magnify confusion. But if you speak them from alignment, they magnify creation. You become the signal itself. And here's the paradox of expansion. The more you merge with the universal field, the less you need to control it. You stop asking the universe for signs because you realize you are the sign. Every thought you think, every action you take, becomes a message sent through the grid of reality. Synchronicities no longer surprise you. They're expected because you're consciously participating in the pattern. In this state, manifestation loses its mystique. It becomes as natural as breathing. You think, and the thought becomes experience. You speak, and the vibration reshapes the field. The lag time between desire and outcome shrinks because your signal is no longer fragmented by doubt or contradiction. But expansion also requires humility. The greater your influence, the greater your responsibility. The universe responds not just to your intentions, but to your integrity. Every action reverberates through the field, returning amplified. That's why those who misuse power eventually collapse. Their frequency becomes unsustainable. Coherence cannot exist without authenticity. So before you learn the 5 words, you must ask yourself one question. What am I truly ready to resonate with? Because these words will not give you something you don't already carry, they will magnify what's within you. If you hold fear, they'll amplify it until you face it. If you hold clarity, they'll accelerate it until it manifests. That's why they are powerful, and that's why they must be used consciously. At this stage, you're no longer merely learning information, you're tuning your perception. You're preparing your system to handle higher voltage. Because when your vibration rises, everything that isn't aligned with it begins to surface. Old beliefs, repressed emotions, unresolved patterns, they come up for recalibration. This is not punishment. It's purification. You're clearing static from the signal so the transmission can flow without distortion. Pause for a moment. Feel the energy around your heart. That subtle pulse you sense when you breathe deeply. That's coherence forming. It's the language of trust. It's the quiet hum of alignment whispering that you are safe to expand. That's where we go next. Because in the final part of this section, we'll unveil the 5 words themselves, not as mystical phrases to repeat mindlessly, but as vibrational keys designed to unlock each layer of your energetic anatomy. Once you know how to activate them, you'll begin to notice immediate shifts, sharper intuition, stronger synchronicities, and a sense that reality is moving in rhythm with your thoughts. But first, understand this. The power of these words doesn't come from the syllables. It comes from the consciousness behind them. The words are the code, but you are the programmer. When you speak them with full awareness, you don't just communicate with the universe, you rewrite it. Before we go further, take a breath. You might already feel it, the subtle charge moving through the air, the faint hum beneath your ribs, the sense that something ancient is remembering itself through you. That's not imagination. That's resonance, responding. The field has been waiting for you to reach this point, because once you hear these words, there's no unhearing them. They don't simply live in language. They live in vibration. The first word is I am. Not 2 words, but 1 frequency, split into dual tones of being and becoming. When you speak I am, you're not describing yourself. You're declaring existence. You're saying to the universe, I recognize myself within you, and I give you permission to reflect me back. This phrase ignites the foundation of your vibration. Every statement you attach to it becomes a command to the field. I am tired. The field slows. I am grateful. The field expands. I am ready. The field accelerates. The secret is awareness. The universe does not differentiate between truth and sarcasm, it only echoes vibration. That's why you must speak I am consciously. The second word is be. Simple. Infinite. To be is to release resistance to the present moment. It's the language of flow. When you say be, you step out of the linear chase for outcomes and into the eternal rhythm of now. Everything you desire already exists here, vibrating on its frequency. You don't chase alignment, you tune to it. The word be recalibrates your energy from effort to embodiment. Try it. Whisper it. Be. Notice how your breath slows, how the mind loosens its grip. That space between thoughts, that's where creation happens. The third word is trust. This is the bridge. Without it, the previous words collapse under the weight of uncertainty. When you say trust, you're not commanding the universe, you're allowing it. You're acknowledging that there's intelligence beyond your plans, working in directions you can't yet see. Trust doesn't mean everything will look the way you expect. It means everything will align the way you need. Speak trust when fear begins to fracture your vibration. Feel it in your chest, where tension hides. Let it melt the static. Let it remind you that delay isn't denial, it's design. The fourth word is FLW. If trust is the bridge, flow is the current beneath it. To say flow is to surrender resistance while maintaining intention. It's not about doing nothing, it's about doing with the current instead of against it. When you speak flow, imagine water moving through rock, carving paths over centuries without strain, because it never questions direction. That's how energy moves when you stop forcing. Flow invites coherence. It teaches you that timing is not your enemy, it's your ally. And the fifth word, the most powerful, the most misunderstood, is expand. This is the command that amplifies everything before it. Expansion is the natural state of consciousness when it's no longer bound by fear. When you speak expand, you open the electromagnetic field around you, allowing your vibration to merge with the greater field. This is when synchronicities begin accelerating. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. People arrive as if magnetized to your path. It's not magic, it's physics. Energy seeks resonance. When you combine these words, I am, be, trust, flow, expand, you activate what mystics once called the golden sequence, the 5 stages of vibrational recode. You're realigning every layer of your energy field, physical, emotional, mental, intuitive, and causal, into coherence. This is why they must be used with caution. Once you speak them in full awareness, your reality begins to restructure. People, habits, and situations that don't match your frequency will dissolve. It can feel like chaos at first, but that's just the field recalibrating to your new signal. Most people stop here because they fear the dismantling phase. But that's where transformation hides. The old vibration must collapse for the new one to stabilize. You might lose certain attachments, relationships that no longer resonate, jobs that restrict you, patterns that once kept you safe. Don't resist it. Every ending is just energy freeing itself to return in a higher form. The more you trust this process, the faster coherence returns. Here's how to use the code. Find a quiet space. Sit still, close your eyes, breathe in slowly through the nose, out through the mouth. As you exhale, let your body soften. Then, speak the words aloud, one at a time, feeling each vibration ripple through your body. Don't rush. Let each word land fully before moving to the next. I am. Feel the weight of your presence. Recognize that you exist right now as consciousness embodied. Be. Release the tension of needing to reach anywhere else. Allow this moment to be enough. Trust. Wanting. Feel your chest open. The universe has not forgotten you. It's aligning things in ways you can't yet see. Flow. Allow movement. Stop controlling. Let life breathe through you instead of against you. Expand. Visualize light radiating from your chest outward. Infinite, touching everything. The field listens. It mirrors. When you finish, remain silent for a few moments. Notice the stillness that follows. That's coherence settling in. That's your new frequency writing itself into the grid of reality. Use this practice with awareness. Once activated, the field doesn't return to dormancy. You may begin to notice changes, immediately familiar numbers appearing more often, opportunities aligning faster, people saying the exact words you were thinking. These aren't coincidences. They're feedback. Reality is acknowledging the signal you just broadcast. But remember, these words don't create your power, they reveal it. You've always had the ability to shift vibration. The code simply gives structure to what your soul already knows. It's a reminder, written in sound, waiting for you to remember. Now that you've learned the foundation, something else will begin to happen. You'll start to notice resistance rising again, thoughts questioning if this is real, voices whispering that it's too mystical, too unscientific. That's the system's conditioning, fighting to regain control. It wants you to doubt your resonance, because doubt pulls you back into the collective static where power is dormant. But you've already crossed that threshold. You've felt the field respond. You've experienced the shift. The question is, will you trust it long enough to let it transform you? Because once you begin speaking this code regularly, morning, night, or in moments of doubt, reality starts reprogramming faster. You won't need to chase signs anymore. They'll chase you. Every synchronicity becomes a confirmation that you're tuned correctly. And soon, what once felt supernatural becomes natural. So remember this. Speak with awareness, move with flow, trust the timing, and never fear expansion. The field is not against you, it's responding to you. Every thought, every emotion, every word is a thread weaving the architecture of your experience. You are both the weaver and the fabric. You always were. When you awaken the field through those 5 words, life begins to rearrange around you. The first signs are subtle tiny shifts in energy, small coincidences, gentle nudges that whisper you're on the right path. A message from someone you hadn't spoken to in years. A sudden idea in the shower that feels too specific to be random. The moment you speak with clarity, reality listens. But soon the changes grow louder. The universe doesn't just whisper anymore. It speaks in synchronicities, in sudden opportunities, in pathways that seem to open from nowhere. You'll feel the difference immediately. There's a quiet certainty behind every choice, a calm confidence that tells you, this is alignment. And in that moment, you'll understand something extraordinary. The universe was never withholding anything from you. It was waiting for you to tune your vibration high enough to receive it. That's where this becomes real-world transformation. Because spiritual energy, when applied, becomes practical power. It fuels discipline, creativity, courage, love. The same vibration that opens synchronicity also drives action, but not the kind that feels forced. This is inspired action, movement that feels inevitable. You don't wake up wondering what to do. You feel pulled toward what's next. The field starts speaking through intuition. Those quiet gut feelings you used to dismiss become your roadmap. At this point, it's essential to ground your energy. After all, a high frequency without direction can scatter. Energy, once awakened, must have purpose. So, when you feel that expansion, don't rush to do more. Instead, listen. The field will guide you step by step. Maybe it's a small decision that feels insignificant, taking a walk, making a call, writing an idea down. Follow those signals. They're the bridges between vibration and manifestation. Remember, the universe doesn't speak in sentences. It speaks in impulses. Every nudge is part of your path. The people you meet, the challenges that arise, even the delays, all of them are vibrational feedback. Life becomes a dialogue between your inner frequency and outer reality. If you're not seeing the outcome you want, it's not failure, it's information. The field is showing you where your vibration still carries resistance. And this is where the motivational power truly ignites. When you realize that everything is feedback, you stop feeling powerless. You no longer wait for permission. You stop fearing rejection, because rejection is just redirection to higher resonance. You stop chasing validation, because you already feel aligned inside. And when that shift happens, you become unstoppable, not because you control everything, but because you're no longer controlled by fear. The next stage of mastery is integration. Speaking the 5 words once begins the process. Living them completes it. So, each day, practice embodying their meaning not as ritual, but as reality. Wake up and remind yourself, I am, I exist, and that is enough. I am present and aware. Trust. I allow life to unfold with purpose. Flow, I move with the current, not against it. Expand, I grow beyond what I once believed was possible. When you make these more than words, when they become the silent code behind your thoughts and actions, you'll begin to notice your world responding faster. This isn't imagination. When your emotional frequency and your behavior align, energy condenses into matter. Ideas materialize into opportunities. Dreams move from mind to manifestation because there's no longer friction between your belief and your behavior. And still, there's one more layer. This isn't just about manifesting goals. It's about becoming someone who naturally attracts alignment. You see, people who vibrate coherently don't chase abundance, they radiate it. They don't demand love, they embody it. They don't seek purpose, they live it. And that kind of energy magnetizes everything it needs. So here's your action path, the way to turn vibration into visible change. Morning activation. Before your day begins, sit for 1 minute in silence. Speak the 5 words softly, letting each one resonate in your body. Feel them vibrate. Midday check-in. When stress or frustration appears, pause. Take a deep breath and silently repeat. Trust. Flow. Watch how tension dissolves. Evening integration. Before sleep, review your day. Where did you act from fear? Where did you act from trust? Adjust your frequency by speaking the words again, slower this time. 3 minutes a day. That's all it takes to rewire the field. Small, consistent vibration shifts carry more power than forced effort. And as days become weeks, you'll start noticing a strange new rhythm emerging in your life. Less resistance, more coincidence. You'll wake up with an inner pull towards specific actions. Conversations will align in timing too perfect to plan. It's not that you've gained control over the universe, it's that you've learned to move with it. But motivation requires one more truth. Expansion never ends. Every new level of vibration will invite a new layer of growth. You'll be tested not as punishment, but as calibration. When challenges appear, it's the universe asking, can you hold this frequency under pressure? When you respond with trust instead of fear, your vibration stabilizes. That's how transformation becomes permanent. So when the next storm arrives, and it will remember the code, whisper it to yourself. I am. Be. Trust. Flow. Expand. Feel your energy settle. Remember that even the storm is part of your coherence. The wind doesn't fight the current. It is the current. In time, you'll look back at this moment and realize that something subtle but irreversible happened. You didn't just learn a technique, you remembered your power. You'll start moving through the world differently, speaking slower, listening deeper, choosing your words like seeds. You'll begin to feel energy before it manifests, and you'll adjust your vibration before problems form. That's true mastery, not avoiding storms, but dancing with them. And from that mastery comes impact. Your energy begins to lift others without effort. People will say they feel calmer around you, more hopeful, more focused. That's because coherence is contagious. Every time you realign your vibration, you give permission for others to do the same. You become a signal of possibility in a world that forgot how to listen. That's the real purpose of this code. It was never just about personal manifestation. It was about remembering your role in the collective harmony. When enough people speak consciously, the world's frequency changes. Fear loosens, division fades, the field resets. And it starts with you here, now, reading these words. The shift begins quietly. One morning you'll wake up, and before you even open your eyes, you'll feel it, the stillness, the certainty. The air feels different, lighter, almost electric. For a few seconds you won't know why. Then you'll remember. You've tuned. The old static that used to fill your thoughts is gone. In its place is rhythm, clarity, and something far greater than peace. Purpose. You step outside, and everything feels alive. Colors seem deeper, sounds seem sharper. Even the wind feels intelligent, as if whispering, "You're aligned now." That's not poetry, it's physics. Your brain and heart are finally operating in coherence, releasing electromagnetic harmony that synchronizes with the field around you. What used to feel like random chaos now feels like choreography. Life begins to feel choreographed by something wiser than logic. But you'll notice something else too. The world hasn't changed, you have. And because your perception determines your vibration, reality bends around your awareness. People start treating you differently. Situations that once drained you now roll off effortlessly. Obstacles that used to intimidate you dissolve under calm action. That's the real power of vibration, not in escaping reality, but in redefining it from within. At this stage, your energy becomes magnetic. You'll begin attracting what matches your coherence. People who inspire instead of drain. Opportunities that align instead of confuse. Moments that feel divinely timed. You'll notice your intuition sharpening like a compass that finally points true north. You no longer wonder if you're doing enough. You just know. You act when it feels right, and it always lands. That's the rhythm of flow precision guided by trust. You'll start to feel creativity returning. Ideas that once felt impossible suddenly feel accessible. You might pick up an old dream again, a project, a vision. Something you once shelved because fear convinced you it wasn't practical. But now the energy feels different. It's not a fantasy anymore. It's a blueprint. Because when your vibration changes, inspiration becomes instruction. Every intuitive hit carries information from the field, guiding you to align thought with action. And this is where you must remember balance. The universe rewards aligned movement, not frantic motion. You don't manifest through exhaustion, you manifest through resonance. When the energy feels forced, stop, breathe, return to stillness. Speak the code again. I am, be, trust, flow, expand. Let it realign your internal compass before you act. When the action is ready, you'll know, because it will feel like relief, not resistance. The old paradigm taught you to hustle, grind, and push against life until it broke open. But you're not here to force outcomes, you're here to tune outcomes. You don't chase, you calibrate. And in that calibration, life starts chasing you. That's when abundance becomes natural. Because abundance is not money, it's motion, the constant inflow and outflow of energy. When you vibrate at gratitude, you become a conduit for more of it. But expansion isn't all light. The higher you rise, the more truth you see about yourself, about others, about the patterns that kept you small. Don't run from that. Every layer of resistance that surfaces is just a part of you asking for inclusion. Integration is the final act of mastery. The goal was never perfection, it was wholeness. The universe doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to authenticity. When you allow even your shadows to align, you become unstoppable. You'll notice that people will start asking what changed. They'll say you seem calmer, brighter, more centered. Some will think it's luck, others will think it's a phase. But deep down, you'll know it's vibration. You'll smile, maybe share a little. But you'll also know that true power can't be explained, it must be experienced. The only way for someone to understand is to feel their own alignment. And when they're ready, you'll share the code. You'll tell them 5 words that recalibrate everything. Simple, profound, real. But before you share it, live it. Embody it fully. Let it change how you speak, how you listen, how you show up. When you say, I am, mean it. When you whisper, be, stop running. When you breathe trust, surrender control. When you move with flow, stay present. And when you expand, do it with compassion, because expansion without love becomes ego, and ego always contracts eventually. Now pause for a moment. Feel your heartbeat. That rhythm has become your teacher. It's the same frequency the earth pulses at the Schumann resonance. The same field that connects everything alive. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself as you. Once you truly understand that, the concept of manifestation feels different. You're no longer asking for things, you're choosing which version of reality to tune into. The field already contains infinite possibilities. You simply match the frequency of the one you wish to experience. This is why awareness is the ultimate responsibility. The clearer your vibration, the faster the feedback. Positive or negative, it all comes quicker now. You can't hide from yourself anymore, and that's liberation. Because in that transparency, transformation happens instantly. If you slip into fear, you'll feel it immediately. But instead of panicking, you'll smile, breathe, and recalibrate. The lag between emotion and manifestation is gone. You're living in real-time creation. And as you master that rhythm, something beautiful begins to unfold. Your energy starts to ripple beyond your personal reality. It touches others, subtly at first, then visibly. People around you begin to feel calmer, more inspired, more alive. They may not know why, but the field knows. Coherence spreads like light in a dark room. The more aligned you become, the more alignment you awaken in others. This is how collective transformation begins. Not through noise, but through resonance. Now, here's the truth that completes it all. You were never learning these words to become powerful. You were remembering them, to remember who you already are. The field isn't separate from you. It responds through you. You're not here to control your reality. You're here to harmonize with it. You are the vibration you've been chasing. So let this become your new daily mantra. Speak it in the morning before the world gets loud. Whisper it at night before you drift into sleep. Let it be the undercurrent beneath every choice you make. When fear appears, use it. When doubt whispers, listen and then rise above it. Every emotion is energy waiting to be upgraded. Every challenge is an invitation to expand. Every breath is another chance to recode. And when you forget, because you will return to simplicity, breathe, place a hand on your chest, feel the rhythm, say softly, I am. That's enough. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to fix everything. You only have to stay aware. Awareness itself is alignment. Once you're aware, you're already recalibrating. In time, these 5 words will become part of you. Not something you practice, but something you are. You'll walk through the world differently. Slower, clearer, more deliberate. You'll speak less but mean more. You'll act less but achieve more. You'll see patterns in everything, the way energy loops, the way people mirror your state, the way time bends when you're in flow. And through it all, you'll know that this isn't magic. It's mastery. It's coherence in motion. So, as this chapter closes, take one last breath with intention. Feel the weight of your own power, calm, grounded, unshakable. You've remembered what most people forget, that vibration precedes reality. That thought is architecture, that words are commands, and that the 5 frequencies, I am, be, trust, flow, expand, are not tools, but truth. If you're hearing this now, it's because the field aligned this moment for you, not by accident, not by luck, but because something inside you was ready to wake up, ready to stop existing by default and start creating by design. Take these words into your life. Use them. Live them. Speak them. Don't wait for the perfect moment to begin. Begin, and the perfect moment will reveal itself. Don't wait for permission. Your existence is permission. Don't shrink back when things get uncomfortable. That's just energy stretching into new space. Every time you choose awareness over fear, trust over control, flow over resistance, you're rewriting the vibration of your life, and that ripples into the collective field. Start today, right now. Speak the code once more. Feel the resonance echo through your breath, your chest, your bones. Feel the air hum with it. I am, be, trust, flow, expand. Let those 5 frequencies vibrate through every part of you until silence returns. That silence, that deep, grounded, infinite stillness, is not emptiness. It's the sound of creation listening for its next command. And now, it's your turn to give it one. You are the vibration. You are the word. You are the field. Go recode your reality. If you felt something stir while hearing this, don't ignore it. That pull you feel isn't random, it's resonance. It means the field is responding. You were meant to find this message now, in this exact moment. So here's your next step. Don't just listen, activate. Speak the 5 words aloud tonight before you sleep. Watch how reality begins to whisper back. And if you're ready to go deeper, to understand how vibration, thought, and energy truly shape your life, then follow the link below and join Insights Academy. There, we'll uncover the hidden mechanics behind these codes and show you how to consciously create alignment in everything you do. Don't wait for another sign. This is the sign. The field has already answered. Now it's your turn to respond. Go to the link in the description, join now, and begin your recalibration. Because the universe isn't waiting, it's listening.